Okay guys, back at you. Just got a little bit of a rant here that I want to present. I know this is not really, probably not the best thing to be doing, but I still have a rant. And the problem is that every time I work on a wall, it doesn't matter where it is or what wall it was or what point in time, it's always been an issue finding studs. Now, studs are supposed to be at a specific standard distance apart on center. Now, this changed over a period of time. I mean, obviously, when the standard came out, a few years later, the standard changed. A few years later, it changed again. It used to be at one time, I think, I'm not sure, it might have been 12 inches. You know, I wouldn't expect studs to be 12 inches on center because you're going to go through a lot of material. And then it changed, and I believe it went to 16. So I would expect 16. But then once again, I think it changed after that. In a lot of cases, it's 24. Now the problem here in this wall, I'm finding stuff at 24 on center, and I'm finding stuff at 19 on center. And I just don't get that. You know, this is not, if this were the 1800s, yeah, I would say, you know, these guys are throwing this stuff together, and they're not measuring. They're just throwing their 2x4s in there, build the wall, and to make sure it's strong, and that's it. They don't care how far apart they are. They're not thinking about standards. But this is a fairly new building. I think this building's probably only, I would guess, from what I've seen on it, it's fairly new construction. I mean, I don't even think it's 10 years old, to be honest. And that bothers me because that means the carpenter who put this together obviously should have had some idea of what the standard should be in terms of distance apart for 2x4s. Now, I could see if we had 2x4s on center, 24, 24, 24, 24, and then for some reason something had to go in between, you know, for a mounting to mount something to. But when you get 19 and 24 and nothing in between either one, that ticks me off. I mean, that really burns my ass, especially when I'm, you know, drilling holes through my walls trying to find studs and not finding them where they should be. I mean, yeah, go out buy a stud finder, right? I mean, I get that. But if standards are where they belong, and I can find a stud because I know that a receptacle like that is going to be tied to a stud, I pull the cap off that receptacle and I can figure out which side of the receptacle the stud is on. Now I can use that for a measuring point. I should be able to measure 24 on center from that from that black mark I have on the wall over this way and find another stud, and vice versa. I should be able to go 24 on center over here and find a stud. Well, the first thing I did was I realized there was a hook in that hole right there in the wall, and it was pretty solid. So I figured, okay, that's a stud. I took the hook out, and sure enough, checked it. Sure enough, there's a stud behind it. So I measured that distance from there over to there, and found it to be 19 on center. So I figured, okay, we're going to have 19 on center. So then I went and I measured from that black mark over this way, 19 on center, and there was nothing. So then I went back and I measured 16 on center. There was nothing. So I went back and measured 12 on center. There was nothing. It's like, son of a bee. You know, I mean, that burns my ass. So I figured, okay, it's got to be 24. So then I went and measured. Sure enough, 24 on center. Boom, there's a stud. So, needless to say, putting that rant aside, I did manage to put 4 pieces of 2x4 on the wall. They're all screwed into studs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump this up against it and toenail down through into the 2x4s on each one of these studs, and that's each one of these pieces of 2x4 which is tied to a stud, and that should give me the security in terms of, you know, support. That'll help to support it quite a bit. Now ideally, if I was going to turn this into a bench and put a vise on it and all that stuff and a metal top on it, a wood top with a metal layer over it, it should be tied into the floor as well. And you know, I'm not ready to tie it into the floor yet because I'm not sure if it's going to stay there. We'll give it some time and see what happens. Maybe at some point I will put some screws in concrete to hold it down. And then if I did do that, it's nice and solid, put some vices on there, then we're good to go. I might put some floating vices on there, something that not going to take a whole lot of yanking and pulling. I may maybe do a few, you know, use it as an anvil maybe sometimes, tap it with a hammer. It'll be strong enough for that, or to hold something if I want to file it, grind it, whatever, it'll be good for that. But it won't be any good for, you know, you get something in the vise and you need to pull on it really hard, you know, just trying to loosen the bolt or something, and you need to pull really hard. It probably won't be strong enough for that unless it's anchored to the floor too. Because being anchored into the wall with a few of these 2.5-inch screws, even if they were 3-inch screws, wood screws, number 8s, probably wouldn't be strong enough to, it'll be strong enough for a few things, but it wouldn't be strong enough for any severe work, right? So without further ado, I'm going to pause there. I'm going to go attach this to the wall on those pieces of 2x4 that I put in there. And I'm going to take one more measurement to the left and see if there's any stud on 24 on center, because, you know, maybe I ran it about nothing. Maybe there's a stud 24 on center. Maybe that one on 19 was a piece that was added for something. Check it and see, you know, just for the heck of it. I would expect that whoever did this knew what they were doing. If they went 24 on center, the majority of the studs should be 24 on center. They were 24 on center over here when I attached stuff. You know, I've got a bench in behind there. When I attached that to the wall, they were 24 on center. I didn't have any problems with that one. Well, it took me time to realize that it was 24 on center. It took me time to find the first stud, actually, once I found the first stud. And poked a couple. What I did is took a finish nail. It's a really small nail that you put in your trim around your door or whatever. So that would leave a very, very small hole, and measured the distance, 16 first, and then 24, until I found, oh yeah, it's 24 on center, and then from there I was able to mark it out, and that worked out quite well on that side. And the bench that I have over there, well, that's just, all that is just a piece of, I think it's 3/8 plywood, I think, and it's laying on top of 2 of the portable benches that fold up. That worked pretty good for a bench for a while, but and probably still use it for some stuff too. But I think I'm going to move my computer stuff over here, because this should be a warmer spot to sit. It should be a lot warmer on the feet and everything else. I'll probably going to have to turn the heat down most of the time, or maybe even off. But yeah, so for now, without further ado, I'm going to pause here and attach that to the wall. Come back and show it to you once I have it attached, maybe the top on it, or maybe the cabinet above it, whatever the case may be. Until then, peace out.